about the Cardinals Green Bay game. Was really looking forward to this one. Did not kind of play out the way that I had expected it to. Packers ended up walking in um, and playing a good game. Ended up being a 34-13 rout. Yeah, I think you got to watch more of that game. Keep a better on it. What were your takeaways from the game?
We had a really the first thing that jumps right off the metaphorical page is we had really bad discipline. You can just spot the weeks where we have a good week of practice or a bad week of practice because we came in here and immediately we're jumping at the line. We had 13 penalties to their 5, and while I think they probably should have been penalized a bit more, a lot of those penalties they called on us were, yeah, that was a penalty. Like, and it's one of them that you can't just kind of ignore. Like some penalties you can ignore just a little bit, right? If they think that they've made their presence felt a little too much. There are occasional officiating crews that do this. Not the one on Monday night, that's for sure. But for this game, I felt like most of the penalties they called on the Cardinals were pretty necessary, which is rough to say because no one loves it. But anyway, that was really bad, and that shaped some of the game because some of those were huge. We left points out on the board because of some of those penalties. That wouldn't. I don't know that would have changed the outcome of the game because they took their foot off the gas late in the game as well. Like this score does not quite indicate how much better they were than us on this day. I maintain, I think I've mentioned this to you before, I think Jordan Love's quite good. But I think the real power on that offense is that O-line. He is unscathed.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be fun to watch. Well, not as fun now with Aiden Hutchinson out. But I was going to say it would be fun to see like a Detroit go up against them or something like that. Some team with actual pass rush, maybe Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
And see, can they crack that line a little bit? Because he's just flat-footed back there, just picking teams apart. And again, I don't mean to discredit the guy. He is very, very good. I don't think that they spent bad money on him, but it's just their rush game works incredibly well because they have great gaps. Green Bay has long been amazing at creating offensive lines, drafting them, developing them, and so on. For the Cardinals, we managed to not allow any sacks despite the fact that we're still missing the right half of our O-line, which is good. Kyler, not letting that become a problem was good, and I credit Kyler with that somewhat. I credit our depth with some more of it. I think us running 13 personnel with 3 tight ends all the time probably helps too. Our run game probably worked better than is advertised on the stat sheet, but we kind of had to give it up later on in the game. Similar to Dallas, but we actually do again, I'm not trying to attack, but we actually have a run game that is proven pretty solid week by week.
Oh yeah.
We had to give it up because we're down by a huge margin. At the second half, I think all 3 of the fumbles happened in the second half. So every time we tried to get going and try to make the game a little closer, it was like, we'll cough the football up. So a lot went wrong. Then Marvin got hurt. Marvin got hurt pretty early. I can't remember if it was first or second quarter, but he went down with the stinger. There's some optimism that he will be okay. I believe the stinger he had was a compression of the spine kind of a thing. I don't know if there are multiple kinds, but it was like top of his head got hit and it compressed everything. It doesn't sound like there was any structural damage to any of the spine or anything like that. So he should be okay coming back. Hopefully it'll be this next Monday against the Chargers. We'll see, but we'll see. So outside of that, we did have a couple of other injuries. Matt Prater went on the IR, so he'll be gone for at least 4 weeks. So they'll be going with Chad Ryland, who, hey, he's doing pretty good for us. Aside from that one getting blocked, he's doing quite well for us. Then one kicker, no pun intended. One other problem is coming into the season, one of our biggest perceived weaknesses was our front 7, or specifically our defensive line. And we are now down the rookie, Darius Robinson, who we thought was going to start and play a lot of games. He's down and still not back, though he could come back at some point. BJ Ojolari is supposed to be our number one edge rusher this year. He went down before the season even started.
Mm-hmm.
Both of the big money signings we did on the defensive line, Justin Jones and Bilal Nichols, they're both done for the year after playing like 80 games and 65 games in a row, respectively. They both went out for the year. It's a
Yeah.
Cardinals curse or something going on here.
Yeah.
So the problems I thought we would have on like the defensive line, allowing the run, not being able to get to the quarterback, those haven't gotten any better. We are rather silent on the free agent and trade market hunt. So I imagine stuff is happening behind closed doors, but there's no indicator to say that's true. So moving forward, it will be interesting to see if they do decide to make a move, or should I just expect this to be a lost season? I don't know. Who knows? There's more to expand on there, but I want to get to what you thought of this game first. So, what stood out to you when you watched it, or watched whatever you watched it?
Well, no, I watched most of this game, and I was feeling bad. I was feeling bad for you on this game until the Dallas game happened. And I still feel bad, but not as much as I did for myself. Um, I I think you've already covered the big thing. The turnover differential, the 3 fumbles in particular. It was funny when I was going and looking like, okay, it's 3 fumbles. Didn't that happen just like last week or two? And it was like, yeah, against Washington, Arizona had 3 fumbles, and all of a sudden it's like that's kind of become a thing all of a sudden. So I don't know. Is that a fixable thing? I probably think so a bit. So I think that would be a big thing to kind of work on, because that's a lot of fumbles in 3 weeks. Trey McBride, he's like the pride and joy of that team in many ways. He's young. He just looks phenomenal. 8 of 8 catching in a game that's this one-sided is pretty impressive. He just looks great. You know me, I was frustrated that pretty early in the game they abandoned the run. It's like, well, James is only getting 3-4 yards a carry. It's like, yeah, but once I feel like very similar to the Cowboys, and against the Packers, who are another great team. Once you become one dimensional, it's pretty challenging. So I don't know, the whole lack of run commitment. I understand you're behind, but it's hard to catch up when your offense isn't functioning correctly. And especially as you pointed out, you're already not working correctly because Marvin Harrison isn't there, and you need him to help. I think we saw a little bit of how Michael Wilson benefits heavily from Marvin Harrison being on the field, because he seemed very passive. Passive is the wrong word. Just ineffective once he was off the field. So hopefully Marvin Harrison's able to get back quickly and recover quickly from that. But I think next week, if he's not back, you're going to need another wide receiver to step up. I think you'll have a pretty good matchup this week to kind of make a run back. But I want to see James run again and get going. And the solution to all your problems is for y'all to give up a first round pick and go grab Myles Garrett from the sellers that are known as the Cleveland Browns. So I am all about that plan. I think that would be a great pickup by you guys, and honestly would really, I think, fix some significant portions of the defensive challenge that y'all face. Won't fix any offensive ones. I say that, but he was responsible for helping them score during the game, the Browns' last game. So who knows? Maybe he'll help on offense too. But yeah, and Green Bay is a good team. So just like Cowboys losing to Detroit, it's like, man, that sucks. But it's kind of, there's no shame. And I think in a lot of ways, if you're going to get blown out, you don't want to get blown out by the Jaguars or the Panthers or somebody like that. It's like, okay, there's at least some respect in like getting beat by a good team. So hopefully the Cardinals will recover from their injuries and be ready to go coming up here next week. Any other thoughts on this game before we move forward?
Plenty. Not exactly on this game. Some of the same guys I'd like to fix the Cowboys that I mentioned with fix the Cowboys. Yeah. I like for the Cardinals too. I don't know that this team's actually selling, but there are teams out there that clearly are. The Raiders are clearly selling. The Browns, the Titans might be, and if they're not, they probably will be soon. That Jeffrey Simmons, I really do like for both of our teams because our run defense is worse than yours, and he's been really good every year, and he's not a rental. Like a lot of teams are going out after rentals, right? You could even see Devontae Adams and Amari Cooper as rentals. Jeffrey Simmons is 27, so he is a foundational move. Yes, he probably helps you right now, but he's also you're going to have him hopefully for the next 4 or 5 years. And so moves like that I would appreciate. When I assess the Cardinals, I try not to be doom and gloom. And one of the things that helps me there is looking at who we've played. And I'll kind of close with this. I don't want to go on forever. And it is, we've played 6 games. 5 of them look like playoff teams. The Bills, oh my gosh. The Bills, the Lions, I have it right here. Why don't I just look at it? My memory clearly doesn't work that well. But the Bills, the Lions, the Commanders, the 49ers, the Packers, they're all playoff teams right now. The Commanders are very surprising, but surprise or not, they look like they're going to be a playoff team. The Rams do not. So, yeah, we've had a really rough schedule. And coming into the season, I had said, if we can get through the first 8 games at 3-5, we might have a shot at something. And so I guess I maintain that, but while we're in the midst of this gauntlet, it's rather painful. So we'll see moving forward. I am excited to right the ship, if the ship can be righted. But I'm ready to get on to Monday night. So anyway, yeah.
Same here. Put that week behind us.